Hit me. Hi, and welcome to the VR Gaming podcast and commentary about VR gaming, VR news, VR hardware, and VR reviews. I'm your host, Nick Lane, and with me is Justin Davis. Justin, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Good. It's the weather's been nice. Been doing like outdoor things finally. Starting to get back to slowly getting back to normal. Looks like they said in New York we don't have to wear masks anymore if we're vaccinated. So we're getting there, man.
Yeah, I went to a park this weekend, and like 50% of the people weren't wearing masks, and 50% were, and like and I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, well, Fauci said and the CDC said a few days ago that if you're outside and you're vaccinated or whatever, you don't have to wear a mask, and it seems like everything that they've learned is like outside you're pretty damn safe unless you're like at a packed shoulder to shoulder at an outdoor concert or something, people breathing down your neck. You should be good.
Yeah, I agree with that. The issue is like half these people are wearing it, so like I'm like, do I feel like an asshole not wearing it because these people are?
Yeah.
Even though I don't think I really need to. It's like
Well, you've got the quote unquote official backing of the experts, however you want to look at it. So there you go. This is not official advice from this podcast.
No.
Do your due diligence. But I think we're getting better. I'm looking forward to this. We did the pinball show in person, the stream that we do. So saw friends for the first time after a couple months, or a year and a couple months. So getting there,
cool.
man. All right. Well, let's talk VR. Let's get down to business because we both played some VR. Since the last podcast. So starting with you, Justin, what are some games that you've been playing in this last month or so?
I just got out of VR minutes ago. I was playing Mask Maker, which is a puzzle game made by the A Fisherman's Tale developers. And I played Floor Plan 2, which we're going to talk about. I played some Pierhead Arcade 1 and 2. Some of that was with some Discord people. Then I played VR Skater. That's a game that came out recently, an early access skating game. I do not recommend that. I'll tell you, like the controls I didn't like, and it's $20 and it's very bare bones. So right now, I say no. Anyway, we're gonna talk about Demeo. Do you say Demeo or Demeo?
It's a good question. I don't even know what I say now.
In the tutorial, the woman said Demeo, but
Okay.
I've heard some people say Demeo. But
I guess we'll go by the tutorial lady.
Yeah. So then I played Ice Cold Beer, and there's a free Ice Cold Beer VR game that was released. I did a video of it, so you could in the video description I have a link to it. So if you go to MameFan on YouTube, you can find that video, Ice Cold Beer. And I played Carnival games in VR, Crisis Brigade 2, Spacescape, which is a little escape the room thing, Hell Road VR, which is like this road rash type of game, but you're killing zombies. And then I played Battle Group VR, which we're going to talk about.
All right, nice. So, you always play a lot of games, and we don't always have time to review every game or want to spend time reviewing every game. So, on the ones that you listed, I like how you gave the heads up about VR Skater. What about the other ones that we're not currently reviewing in this podcast and may not review? Or what ones would you say people should avoid, and what ones would you encourage them to check out?
If you like puzzle games, I would definitely say Mask Maker is a really good puzzle game. Pierhead Arcade 1 and 2. Pierhead Arcade is an old VR game, and then 2 is the sequel where they improved on it and added more games. I recommend that if you like Carnival and Redemption games, but it's buggy, especially if you try to play multiplayer. So then that Ice Cold Beer, if you like, Ice Cold Beer is an arcade game where you have a steel ball on this arm that you're controlling with two joysticks, if you're into stuff like that. Carnival games is kind of like Pierhead Arcade 1 and 2, but that came out in 2016. It's not that great. Some people think it is, but I don't think it's that great. But it's a Carnival Redemption game type thing. Crisis Brigade 2. Some people say Crisis VR Brigade 2. There was the original. I mean, it's like really, really hard, kind of like cover shooting game. It's very arcade like, but it's as hard or harder than an arcade game, and like you're gonna die really fast. But it's fun because it's like it's room scale. You're like hiding behind dumpsters or hiding behind barrels and stuff, and popping out. You got to be very careful. You get pop out really fast, shoot a guy, pop back down. So it's that type of game. So yeah, I would recommend that. I got it because it was on sale. Spacescape was on sale, and I got that for like $2. So if you like Escape the Room, I mean, maybe that's a really bare bones kind of Escape the Room thing. Hell Road VR was on sale for $11.99, and I think it's maybe worth it. It had control options where you could tilt your head to turn, or you could use the handlebar, or you could use your joystick. I found using the analog stick the easiest. Unfortunately, I would prefer to use the handlebars, but like my hand kept coming off of the handlebars, and so it was still fun. Hell Road VR, that was fun. Riding the motorcycle and killing zombies and flying off of jumps and stuff. So that's about it.
All right, very nice. Thanks for the rundown. So I played Floor Plan 2, Demeo, which is a weird name, Demeo. I feel like they probably should have spent a little more time on naming that. Poker Stars VR, Battle Group VR, Compound, which I was thinking about reviewing because I was looking for games to review. So maybe we'll do that one at some point because I know you've played it as well.
Yeah, I love Compound.
And then 11 table tennis. That's I'll play that game for my girlfriend when we want to hop into VR. So that's a good game.
I played 11 with my father-in-law, and he fell forward and got a bloody nose.
Oh man!
Because he leaned on the table that he thought was there.
That's how good VR is, folks.
Yeah.
That's a testament to VR, right? Like.
Yep. And I don't think he's been here to play VR since.
I don't see us reviewing 11, but I think 11's very, very well done. Like, I'm not sure how you do a table tennis game better than that, unless you add some kind of content with like competitions and unlocking. Like you kind of just get more meat to it. But in terms of the physics and the feel, the functionality of finding multiplayer, there's always seemingly people playing it. It's just a damn good table tennis game. And I don't play table tennis to save my life, but I've read that people who actually play table tennis and are good at it, like they're like, yeah, this is legit. Like this is a well done game. So
yeah,
it's a easy one to recommend to people. All right, and Compound I'm struggling with. I'll have to spend more time with it, but I think we'll review it one of these months, right? Maybe a light month. We'll throw that in there and talk about it.
The developer of Compound updates it so often that like it has changed so much since the last time I played it. So I don't even know what it's like now.
Yeah.
Originally, it was a demo that came out in 2017, and then it released in 2018, and he just keeps updating it.
Yeah, I respect that. He's sort of got. I read on like the Steam page that he's just like it's like 1999. It's always gonna be 1999. He's always updating it. And for those that don't know, it's like almost like you're in Wolfenstein. It's like that level graphics or Doom, right? So I think it appeals to people who are into nostalgia. It's a Lost Souls type of game, right? Where you kind of come back stronger next time and die a lot. But yeah, we'll give it the full treatment in the next podcast or so.
Okay.
All right. Well, you've got a lot of news to talk about. You've got a lot of hardware news to talk about. This is all you. I'm going to play the role of probably asking some questions, but take it away.
Okay, so there was a lot of news since the last show. I'm going to kind of go in chronological order here and just talk about the big stuff. So Quest 2, Oculus released AirLink, which is wireless, fully wireless VR, so you can play PC games wirelessly over your home network, and you could already do that with Quest 2 and Quest 1 if you use Virtual Desktop. That had this like wireless streaming feature, but Oculus wouldn't let the developer, his name is Guy Godin, they wouldn't let him put that on the store. So he had to sell it on like SideQuest, and you had to go like jump through hoops to get it. And then they like right before they released this Airlink, they told, "Hey, Guy, you can put your thing on the store now," and then they came out with their Airlink, which is pretty funny.
A bunch of dicks.
Yes.
Listen, man. I'm
Yeah.
glad I don't have a Quest, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, I thought you have a Quest too. Your
Well,
girlfriend does.
yeah, I guess technically we both own it, but it's
Yeah.
hers, so she
Yeah.
can play.
Oh, okay.
I'll try to try it out. I'll have to try out the Airlink that it's free
That's
now,
what I was
though.
gonna ask if you've tried it. But okay. Do you have like a good router?
I think. I mean,
Hmm.
no, maybe not because I just have like the Verizon router, right? So I
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
know.
that's not probably not that great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot though for
Okay.
science.
And some people say you need to be close to it, so I don't know if that's possible. I don't know.
It's like it'd be like 20 feet away, but there's a wall separating it, so
Hmm.
there might be some obstacles there.
I don't know. Yeah, you got to use 5 gigahertz, and we'll see. I tried virtual desktop wireless when I had a Quest 2 back when it first came out, and for me, it wasn't good enough. I saw like compression and the artifacts and the color wasn't as good, but like I didn't get a lot of time to mess with it and to like configure it, and I'm sure it's improved since then. So I mean, so like I have Vive wireless, the Vive wireless adapter, and when I use that thing, I never noticed any compression issues or any issues like that because that thing uses a 60 gigahertz like direct connection through the air. Like there can't be any walls in between with that 60 gigahertz. So that thing worked well. But AirLink, some people say it works better than virtual desktop, and some people say it doesn't. So I don't know. So anyway, then there's a 100. They also added 120 hertz mode, where I'm sure only a couple games can actually do that. And if you turn that on, you're gonna probably lose your battery, unless you're hooked up via cable to your PC. So then back in April they had this Oculus Gaming showcase where the big news was they unveiled Resident Evil 4 as a Quest 2 exclusive, and it won't be on Quest 1. So that's coming in 2021 with improved textures, 3D audio, physical interactions, and manual reload. So that game originally came out in 2005, but they're gonna VRify it. And after watching video of it, that's actually made me want to buy a Quest 2 again. But I'll wait until this game actually releases, I think. And I was thinking I might do like a Homer Simpson gift for my father-in-law, the one that bloodied his nose,
Okay.
and let him give him a Quest 2, and then I'll be like, hey, can I use that to play a game?
Yeah, I think
don't know.
I'm gonna play like if it gets good reviews, right? Like I'm
Hmm.
definitely gonna play the Quest 2. I'm definitely gonna get that game and play it on it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So then the other big news was Lone Echo 2 is coming on PC only in summer 2021. So that was a big surprise. I thought that was going to be a Quest game for sure because it was delayed for so long. That made me think that it was coming to Quest.
maybe they were trying.
Yeah, maybe they tried and said, we can't make it work.
This is so funny because they don't even have a PC headset anymore. I mean, technically,
Yeah.
with the Quest 2, it can be a PC headset, in quotes. But all right,
Yeah.
I wish they would still I wish they would still fund that because the Quest 2, I mean, arguably the way they're developing it is they're making this sort of a wireless headset, right? I mean, that's
Hmm.
it can be a PC headset, not a PC only headset, but I mean, a lot of people do have PCs. A lot of people have bought the Quest 2, do have access to a PC. So I don't know. I have no hope that they would actually fund this anymore. I think they're 100% on making these Quest only games that can only, you don't need a PC to run it, but whatever.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if any PC games come out anymore after Lone Echo 2.
It's a bummer, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so then the next big news was there's PSVR 2 news. Upload VR said they had some sources that gave them information. So none of this is official from Sony, but they're saying 2000 by 2040 pixels per eye, which basically, if you add the two screens up, that's basically 4K. And it's going to have eye tracking capable of foveated rendering. So, like, okay, the PS5, like, for it to do 4K at 60 frames per second is really hard for that system. So there aren't that many games that can do 4K 60 frames per second. So I'm like, how are they going to do that many pixels, at like 90, hertz or even higher? Either they're gonna have to dumb down the games, or maybe they're gonna run it do what they did with PSVR 1. They're gonna do 60 frames per second and then do some sort of added frames in between to make it look better. Or this eye tracking, maybe they're gonna have eye tracked foveated rendering. I don't know. Nobody's actually that I know of gotten eye tracked foveated rendering actually working well. Because I know a guy that has tried it with his Pimax, and he said that he could just see like aliasing in the edges. Like he could see those jagged pixels and stuff, and it was like distracting. And that's things like that. That's probably why it's taken so long for any of this eye-tracked foveated rendering to actually get anywhere.
Yeah, consider me skeptical, right?
Yeah,
I mean, this is ambitious, and God bless him for being ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about a PS5 here, right? We're not talking about a PC. Even on a PC, you read this kind of stuff and you're like, okay, you're probably gonna need a beast to run it.
Yeah. So,
is there a release date yet on that, or like any indication?
Oh well, they've only said 2022.
2022.
They've said it's well. Actually, they haven't even said that. They said it's not going to be 2021.
Not 2021. All right.
So it could be 2023.
Yeah. Maybe by then it's easy for them to do, but they're still running on the same platform. So I don't know.
Yeah. My guess is late. It's like PSVR came out in October of 2016. It's probably going to be October or November of 2022. So some people have said, well, these specs are going to suck by then. But I mean, it's a console.
Yeah.
You don't really have it. You can't really go higher than 4K, that's how many pixels it is total.
When you get a console, man, if you want the best experience, you need a PC. If you want to be on a budget and not throw so much money into gaming, then a console is a great option.
Yeah. So I did a comparison here. So PSVR, so each eye is 1 megapixel, and PSVR 2 would be 4.1 megapixels. That means 4.1 million pixels per eye, versus for PSVR is 1 million pixels per eye. So that's pretty big difference there.
Yeah, for sure.
And we don't know yet if it's going to be 2 individual screens or a single screen. We don't know. But anyway, the other information was the headset is going to have haptics in it. So you'll feel vibrations in the headset, which nobody's done yet.
Nice.
There was a company that made, I think, like a gasket, maybe a face gasket that could vibrate, because I remember some people testing that. So I was wondering, I've read some stuff about, using haptics in the headset to try to mitigate motion sickness. So I'm wondering if that's part of it.
Okay.
I don't know how that works, but people have been doing research into that.
Listen, I said this a million times. I'm not a PS fanboy, but I give them a ton of credit for keep on pushing the boundaries of VR and getting people into VR. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. So then it'll have adjustable IPD, inside-out tracking, and a single USB-C cable to the PS5. So that's about all we know, according to this like leak or whatever this is.
Okay.
So,
All
right. So then last week, HTC had some sort of online conference where they unveiled the HTC Vive Pro 2, which pretty much nobody saw this coming. There might have been a little leak like right before the conference, but so this has 2448 by 2448 pixels per eye, RGB stripe LCD panel. And that's the, not counting Pimax, that's the highest res headset there is.
Okay.
So like as a comparison, the Reverb G2, which is currently the highest res, is 2160 by 2160. So like the Reverb G2 is 4.7 megapixels per eye, and the Vive Pro 2 is 6 megapixels per eye. So 6 million pixels per eye versus 4.7 million. So it's going to have 120-degree horizontal field of view. And so when they say horizontal, that really means horizontal, because most companies are going to tell you the diagonal field of view. So like when Rift and Vive came out, they told you like, I don't know, maybe they said 110. Well, that was a diagonal.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
what would that translate into diagonally?
Yeah, I think this is going to end up being pretty similar to the Index, and some people say maybe even more than the Index, but we won't know till because field of view is so hard, so it's different for everyone. It's really hard you can't just say what it really is until you're actually in it.
Yeah.
Because everyone has different eye spacing and the depth of their eye sockets and everything. So it's going to have dual element lenses like the Index has. So that's what makes me think it's probably going to be about Index field of view.
Okay.
And I remember when they were marketing that, they were saying like 130-degree field of view, I think horizontally, but I don't think it really is that, because that same, like most things I've read, they've said that like they think that 130 is only like if you have the eye relief all the way into your eyes, basically like all the way up against your eyeballs, which nobody can really do.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 120 hertz. So, you could do 90, you could do 120 with it. It'll have lighthouse tracking. It'll have the same headband as the Vive Pro. So it'll have the same, I think it's the same audio. I mean, it looks like the same audio. It's the exact same, earphones, then the same microphone, which to me, that was really disappointing to hear that. But as soon as you see a picture of it, you see, oh, this just looks like a Vive Pro. It looks really like an original Vive with a Vive Pro headband, because like the HMD part is just like mostly all black, but it still has this little blue section in the center with these two cameras, and I don't know why I guess it's gonna have some inside out something going on there for pass through or something, but I don't feel like they ever did much with that with the Vive Pro, so I don't know why they do that still. So I was thinking about getting this thing until I heard about this. It will support the Vive wireless adapter, which I already have, but that thing costs $350, retail, but I already have it. But it's only gonna, remember, 2448 by 2448. But this thing is on wireless. It's only gonna be 1224 by 1224 per eye at 90 hertz. And then they put like coming soon, we're going to support 1632 by 1632. And I'm like, still, I don't know. I can't trust you that.
Sure.
That's coming. Who knows? So I was like, nah, once I heard that, not going to order this. And there will be no new controllers. They're just selling it HMD only. If you wanted to get controllers, you'd have to get the old Vive ones or get Index controllers.
Which, that's fine. I mean, the Index controllers are so damn good. Like, I almost don't blame them for not making new controllers. I'd just be like, let's go get the Index controllers, because they're fantastic.
Yeah, they probably just figured they couldn't do any better. So.
Yeah, good on them.
So they have an eye tracking add-on, because I was thinking about like 2448 by 2448 per eye. Like, whose computer can even run that? Because like I have an Index, which is, look at this comparison. An Index is 1440 by 1600. That's 2.3 megapixels per eye versus 6 megapixels per eye in this Vive Pro 2. So like, I don't know how many games I'm even going to be able to run at that resolution. So I was thinking like, maybe this is when we need some foveated rendering going on, some eye track. So they have an eye tracking add-on. They say they're gonna release for it. But who knows if that's really gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, eye tracking is like the thing that's been talked about, right? Which is going to help us get to the next level in VR.
Yeah.
So that we can have this great resolution, but not have it chew up our computing bandwidth and the power from the computers. And most people don't have, as you said, the computer to even run that. It doesn't, maybe if you had the 3090 or something, then you might be able to run some games, but even then it's probably going to chug along.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the price is, there's like a discount if you use some code or something for $750, but the retail is $799 for the headset alone. I think it's the same price the Vive Pro originally came out for. And so then they also announced the Vive Focus 3, which is a standalone with the same resolution and field of view as the Vive Pro. that same 6 megapixel per eye, 120-degree horizontal field of view with the same lenses, the dual element lenses, and it'll be 90 hertz. With the same XR2 that the Quest 2 has, XR2, CPU and chipset, then it'll have 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is more than Quest 2. Quest 2 might have 6, but I'm not positive. Then 128 gigabytes of internal storage with an SD card slot that can go up to 2 terabytes. Then 4 cameras, so it's inside-out tracking. Then swappable rear battery, which I like. So it doesn't seem like it seems like there's no battery in the front, which was my main complaint with Quest and Quest 2, that they had the battery in the front. So it's a rear battery, and you can swap it, I guess, as many times as you want. Then the controllers are these Quest. They look just like Quest controllers, but they have USB-C, so you can charge them. They don't use batteries. You charge them like you do, your index controllers. So this can connect to PC via USB-C, and it looks really light and sleek and futuristic looking, and I like it. Everyone likes how it looks, and they say it has eye and hand tracking coming. So it's going to use the same eye tracking add-on that they were talking about the Vive Pro, and the hand tracking they say is coming. Who knows if that's really coming? I think they might have even said that about Vive Pro. Hand tracking is coming like years ago, and I don't think it ever did. Anyway, this thing unfortunately is business only. It's $1,300.
Yeah, I was looking at the price. That makes sense now. There you go.
So maybe they'll release a consumer version of it, but knowing them, it'll be like $800 at the cheapest. So it sounds like a great headset, but
Vive's like out of the game. Vive was like the headset, right? It was Vive and its Rift in there. I think there were more Vives out there than Rifts. I could be wrong about that, but it was
because the Vive had motion controllers, months before Rift ever did.
And now it's just not a thing. No one, people who have a Vive have like the old Vive from like 2016. There's not too many people with Vive Pros compared to other headsets out there. Basically, it sounds like most of the market's moved to Index, or people have graduated to the Index, even though it's expensive.
Yeah.
Or it's like Index or Quest, right? That's when I'm talking VR with people who are asking me about it and know I'm into VR and want to get into it. It's just like, well, here's the deal. It's $299 standalone, or if you got a beefy computer and you're really gonna get into this, then $1,000. And I've got an Index, so those are your options right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And a big change with like Rift and Vive, they had Pentile OLED screens. So like Pentile has 2 subpixels per pixel. And that's why now we're seeing all these screens that are LCDs, because with LCDs, you can get the RGB stripe panels you get 3 subpixels per pixel. So that's why like everything looks so much better now. It's not just that they're getting higher res, it's that we're getting these panels with RGB stripe. Our PSVR had an RGB stripe OLED, and that's the only one I've ever seen. I think Pimax might have one. But anyway, I'm not sure where I was going with that. But Quest, Vive Pro, Odyssey, the original Quest, Vive Pro, Odyssey, Vive, and Rift all had Pentile OLEDs. And you had an Odyssey, right, Nick?
I did have an Odyssey.
Yeah.
The original Odyssey.
So when you got an Index, did you see, because the Odyssey is the same resolution as the Index, but if you compared the two, did you see a big difference?
Yeah, the Index looked better.
Yeah. Okay.
The Odyssey did better blacks, but the Index just looked better.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, this is a nice chart you put together, and it's showing what megapixels, million pixels per eye.
Yeah, on the right,
Vive 2 and Focus 3. So
yeah,
it's like maybe you can help separate this from you. Like the Quest 2 has more than the Index, but that doesn't really matter. The Index just looks better.
Yeah. So the Quest 2 is a single screen. Like it's just one single screen, whereas the Index is 2 screens.
Okay.
Yeah. So with the Quest 2, you can move those lenses into just those 3 set positions. But like when you move them, you have to be missing out on a lot of those pixels because it's a single screen.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting point.
Yeah. Whereas with Index, the screens are moving with the lenses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I think I felt this way, and I've talked to other people who felt this way. The Index still looks better
Oh yeah,
than Quest 2.
no doubt,
Yeah,
no doubt. Yeah, I remember it's like, oh, it's got a better resolution and all that. It's like, well,
yeah,
put the thing on, and
yeah,
then it's not even close, right?
yeah,
Like
and
that's not a dig to the Quest 2. It's impressive, but it looks better in the Index.
yeah, and there might also be some sort of some companies will put in this like layer to kind of blur. I don't know exactly what it is, but they'll blur it a little bit to try to hide the screen door effect. And the original Rift did it because I had that too, and maybe the Quest 2 does it, but it just doesn't seem as sharp. And I don't know if they have some sort of anti-aliasing going on or what's going on. But
Probably doing a lot of tricks and magic to make that thing look good,
yeah, yeah, I know.
given what's running on.
Hmm.
All right, yeah, nice breakdown. What are you excited for? Anything?
Oh, hardware?
Yeah. Where's your
I'm not.
excitement lie?
Nah, I'm not excited about it. Well, I'm actually out of that stuff. I'm most excited about PSVR 2 because we're gonna get. It's just gonna improve PC VR, the games we get, because AAA developers are gonna develop for it,
Yeah.
and then hopefully they'll develop for PC, because PS5 is so similar to a PC that it's gotta help that in that respect. But all the other hardware, nah, I don't really care about it.
Yeah.
Nah.
Again, I mean, we don't have a hardware problem right now. Yes, I
Yeah.
want to see, I want to see new hardware come along. That's great. You always want it to look the best as possible, and that adds to the immersion. But the biggest problem in VR is not hardware at this point. I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. If somebody could release a headset that had no compromises and had it all, and even if it was really expensive, I would buy it. But there's too many compromises, and maybe it has a bunch of features, but then it's extremely heavy. There's a comfort. I mean, there's too many things that they can't get it all right, and
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for something like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the reviews.
Yeah.
First, we've got Floor Plan 2.
Mm-hmm.
And this was we got complimentary copies to review. So thanks to Turbo Button, came out April 1st this year. It's currently sitting at 90% approval, rating positivity on Steam. It's also on Quest, and it's a $24.99 is what it sells for. So I'm gonna let you drive the ship because you are the puzzle guy. We talked about this before. You like puzzle games. I really don't like puzzle games. And I tapped out of this game pretty early.
Yeah.
I gave it the quote unquote college try, and I'm not even going to give this game a rating because I didn't play it enough, and that's not fair. But I will chime in and give my impression of it and where I'm at. So go ahead, man, take it away.
Okay, so the story, even though I beat the game, like the story is basically you're hired by this company, you're a new employee, and they've tasked you with finding some sort of mystical relics. So you have to go through these different escape room like scenarios to eventually find these relics that basically the CEO of the company needs this relic to I don't know, further her plans. And so like I said, it's escape the room. So you have to go into this room and interact with objects and figure out like, well, how can I use this object to solve that thing over there? And so you're in an elevator. So the original floor plan, you were in the elevator the whole time, and you would just go to different floors. So like one floor would have like, it would be like a wintry stage with a snowman, and you'd interact, while in the elevator with the floor. Whereas in this game, you actually get out of the elevator and go explore. So that's the main difference. So there's a lot, more story and stuff going on in this game. So you're going to explore each floor. And so there's some of the floors. There's a museum, a bathroom, an Egyptian tomb, a dance club, a space station, a bee headquarters, like honeybees. Some of this stuff's weird. Then there's like a swamp, and then there's an alien world. And you have to go, using the elevators and go to these different areas and, mess with different things and solve puzzles and I guess I'll get to the graphics. The graphics they're they're very basic because this is also on Quest, so but the original floor plan looked the same way. It's basic cartoony graphics. Nothing you're gonna be impressed by. It's all clean looking, nice looking. Um, the sound, I don't remember anything special about the sound. Did anything stand out to you, Nick?
The sound in the game,
Yeah,
or
the
in
sound.
general?
Yeah, the sound.
Yeah, it drove me nuts. I didn't like the
Drove you
sound in
nuts.
the game.
Ah, okay. Like
Did it bother you at all?
Was it the music?
No, I can't even recall the music.
Okay.
But like, so.
I
thought
know.
Yeah.
I know. I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
So when you talk to people, they go blah, 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 blah. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. I mean, I thought like the production quality was pretty decent on this game.
Yeah.
Like it had a level of polish.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of having like the characters like voice actors, they'll have the text come up, and so they went like this weird middle road where I feel like you can fall one of two ways. I feel like you're not going to not have an opinion on it. Like if, instead of just saying like, here's what you do in this room, it's like blah, 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 blah. It's annoying. And I was like, why did they do that? I don't find this cute, endearing. I find it annoying. Like just put text up there or go on Fiverr and hire some voice actor. It's like it's really easy to get someone to just do like the bar is set so low in VR, right, with what we expect that I don't know why they just didn't spring for that, but yeah, I found that annoying.
I'm glad I asked you because I forgot about that. Yeah, that annoyed me a lot, and I feel the same way about every video game where they do that, where they just do the nonsense. I think
that's the worst nonsense I've ever. I can't even think of another game that I'm sure like it would bother me, but that was in particular. I was like, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. It just kind of. Yeah, it's too bad because I thought like going into it, I was like, this is the production quality looks pretty solid. It reminds me of like Trover graphics, Trover Saves the Universe kind of style graphics, which is fine. Like but yeah,
I was thinking the same thing. The only other sound that stands out to me was there was a hand upgrade I got where my hands farted every time I did grip. They went every single time. I guess you didn't try that or get to it yet, but I mean. You might think that's funny, but it got annoying after a while, and I switched my hands back to the normal hands. But I mean that's way better than the.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes,
the controls are teleport only, which I never like. I would prefer to have free locomotion. There's a fanny pack that's cool. Like you can store item. You grab at your waist and you pull out, and you have this like elastic fanny pack, and you can store items in there. And if you pull it all the way over your head, it takes you into the options menu. So that's cool. As far as immersion, it's very interact. You can interact with everything. I mean, so it's immersive. I think.
Yeah, and I want to say one thing about controls too. This is another thing I can chime in with it.
Yeah.
Another thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way early on was they're like, okay, thumbs up to like. Show you acknowledge something or move on.
Yes.
So I would do the thumbs up, but nothing would fucking happen.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing a pinball podcast now. So I cursed like a sailor on that one. But
that's
like
fine.
I would do the thumbs up, nothing would happen. But you'd have to like do a thumbs up, and I'm using the index, right? And but I really would have to click the trigger button to acknowledge it. So I was like, why would they do that? Like,
I know.
You just thumbs up. This is VR, man. This is the whole point of VR is to feel immersive. The only thing that I could think of that they did that is like so like you don't accidentally thumbs up and go through everything. But there's better ways to do that. I feel like that, and again, I feel like in terms of immersion and controls, that was kind of another kind of weird thing that they did. This game kind of feels like a 2016-2017 game in terms of stuff like you mentioned the teleport only, which was in a game like this, whatever. That didn't bother me that much, but those are things that stood out that were kind of annoying.
Yeah, that annoyed me with the thumbs up thing, and my guess was that they didn't want you to have to do thumbs up for everything, so you do it so then they just made it a button press for some, instead of having to do the thumbs up so many times.
Yeah.
But I didn't even like having to do the thumbs up so many times.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to just do a button press. like to just get through it.
Yeah, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah,
It just seems like they did not make the right choice there, right? Like it was a little jarring.
yeah, and so then one one thing I want to talk about is like so some of these puzzles like don't make any sense. There and in the elevator there's a help where you can like push a button and then it'll give you a hint.
Which was
And
nice.
like
I mean, games like this need a hint system, so it's fantastic.
this game needs a hint system, because there's so many puzzles that don't make sense. And a friend of mine also played this game and beat it, and I was asking him like, what do I have to do here? And he was like, told me what it was, and I was like, well, how the hell was I supposed to know that? And he said, I just accidentally figured it out. I didn't even know why it happened. And then we both felt at the end of the game, neither of us could figure out what to do, so we both had to go online and watch a video. And I promise you, I never would have tried what it was. I would have just given up. I could have tried for hours more, and I would have just given up and never been able to beat it until I watched that video.
And again, I'm glad that you like puzzle games because this means something coming from you. I feel like, right?
Yeah.
Because you've played enough of them. You kind of know what makes for a good puzzle game. Whereas I'm kind of like the everyman, maybe jumping into a game that's not my genre. But yeah, that's interesting. That's a big problem.
Yeah, but most of the puzzles, most of them made sense and were good. So I'm just picking out right there. I was picking out just the ones that were issues.
Yeah.
So as far as lastability, Steam says I only have 2.3 hours in this, so that's short.
And you beat it. Yeah. For $24.99.
Yeah.
Like I said, the production quality is pretty good on this game. Like that's one thing I can say about it. But
but like they're on there where they describe the game, they say 4 hours, but maybe there are these things you can find called red Harrys that are like these little I don't know if they're stuffed animals that are like little red porcupine guys.
Yeah.
They're like hidden around the game and you can find them. And I think if you get enough of those, you unlock those hands that I was talking about. So those fart hands that I got. And there are a lot more you can get. I barely unlocked any of that stuff. So maybe some of that time is finding that stuff. But then also once you beat the game, it tells you there's going to be like DLC that's coming. So an update to the game. I don't know if that's going to be free or what.
Okay.
So as far as rating, if you like puzzle games, I would recommend it, but not at $24.99. I would only recommend it on sale. I did a Steam review where I said that. I was like, I don't recommend this. I only recommend this on sale. I said positive. But there are other puzzle games that I think are way better that I would recommend before this.
Mm-hmm.
But I would give this I'm wavering here between 6.5 and 7.
6.5 because of the
there you go.
punish them for that.
That sold it. 6.5.
All right. Well, I'm not going to give it a rating, but I think my stance on puzzle games is like I feel like I'm doing work.
Yeah.
When I'm playing a puzzle game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not that I'm against puzzles. Like, did you ever play like the LucasArts games growing up, like the point and click adventure games?
Yeah, a little
like
bit.
Monkey Island.
Yeah.
Like I like one of my favorite games as a kid is like playing the Monkey Island games. Like absolutely loved it. I think they're fantastic. Those are puzzle games in that sense. You're using objects with other things and trying to figure things out. But what they grasped in the early 90s, late 80s is that it's not doing the puzzles in themselves that makes it good or entertaining or motivating to do. It's the story and everything around it and trying to get to the next part of that story and enjoying the characters in it and just being in that world. And this is like, it's funny to say being in that world because these were 2D games and playing in DOS, or I was playing on the Amiga back in the day, and it was pretty damn good for what it was. But now with Floor Plan 2 and a lot of these other games, they're just giving you the puzzle, and the puzzle feels like work. My life feels like a puzzle. I wake up and I feel like I'm solving problems, right? And like
Yeah.
I don't want to put on a headset and have somebody go blah, 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 and then just do another puzzle. I know that there's an audience for that, so that's why you got to take everything I say with a grain of salt. But for like the every kind of person who kind of doesn't maybe mind doing a puzzle, if I can just get to the next thing, the next reward of a story, that's what I think is missing, and that's what is needed in more of these. So,
Yeah.
but again, good production quality in the game, and again, it sounds like if you're a puzzle person, then it's worth a look, probably when it's on sale, and it's a 90% on Steam. That's a little surprising to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I said 6.5. 6.5 is still on our scale. It's still in the solid game category.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there you go. It's enough to be in the positive.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to Demeo. Demeo is from Resolution Games. We've been talking about Resolution Games in the past few podcasts. They made Cookout, they made Blast On. Both I was happy to give them positive reviews. Both really like those games. So I was excited for this one. Came out on May 6th of this year. It's at 91% on Steam. It's $29.99, and it's also available for the Oculus Quest 2. It's cross-play with that, so which is excellent, which is nice. So as a little bit of background, I can talk about this, I feel like, with a lot more confidence and critique, because I'm into board games. I got into board games probably about 5 years ago, and I filled up my shelves with board games, and I try to play regularly with people when we're not in a pandemic. So I was excited for this game, the ability to play some board games in VR. So it is in the vein of, I think they're almost trying to be like a Hero's Quest, if you remember that game from the 80s. Did you ever play that game, Justin?
No, but I watched a video about it. I think AVGN did a video of it.
Yeah, I had Hero's Quest. I remember playing a little bit. I was young, but this is sort of like also a Dungeons and Dragons. You've got 4 characters. You've got your wizard, kind of your elf, like a warrior, that kind of deal, right? And you got this game module where I forget what the boss that you're fighting is called or whatever it is, but you're fighting this boss, and there's like 3 levels to this that you got to go through. And the game is randomized, like the tiles that you're crawling through are random. So every game is unique in that sense, but it's always going to be 3 floors. Each floor you got to find a key. You just kind of like move your character on the board, and that will reveal more of the map or the tiles. And then monsters will start spawning in, and then eventually you'll find a monster that has the key. You defeat the monster, then you find a door, and you go to the next level. And then until you get to the 3rd level where the boss is there, and you fight the boss, and then you finally win. That is the game. That is the game. You don't have a strong background in board games, right? You're kind of as a cat, like maybe every person who's played some board games.
Well,
I think you mentioned
when I was a
Stratego.
kid, I loved board games, and I have a ton of them still at my mom's house. But I think once I discovered video games, that's when I stopped being interested in board games.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I can't remember. I think somebody we had a friend who brought over like a board game. I think it was Small World, and I played it, and I was like, oh my god, board games are they're like a thing. Like there's board things like beyond Monopoly, right? Like never really dawned on me to like look into board games, but like board games have come a long way. The mechanics of them are just so advanced compared to games that we played that were available when we were a kid. So I kind of got into it and really, really enjoy them. But again, I think what's nice about this game, it's a co-op game. It's not PvP. Grab 3 friends, hop in there, and I think the game that we played took about an hour and a half. I have to imagine that game should take under 2 hours because you're fighting the Quest battery. So I'm sure it was designed with that in mind, which is fine for a board gaming session. I think most board games are, that I play would be make 1.5 hours. More like medium to heavyweight would be 1.5 hours to 4 hours in real life. So it kind of hits that. The graphics in this game are good. Your setting, it's like you're in this basement. You've got like this vibe, like you're almost playing like D&D and like in a basement in the 1980s. There's like vinyl records kind of scattered around. Um,
Yeah, I
you're
played it. I played it for like an hour,
oh
and
good.
yeah, I liked the basement and the feel of it, the graphical feel of it.
Yeah, the graphics are good. The graphics
Mm-hmm.
are on point with what they did with Cookout and Blast On. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like kind of right cartoony versus like trying to go for realism, which works. Um, there's some nice effects. I know that somebody did a graphics comparison versus PC versus Quest, and
Mm-hmm.
PC that does get the better graphical version. There's some things that are omitted on
Mm-hmm.
the Quest 2 to make it run, like some visual effects. So it is nice. I mean, I hear the argument like, oh, they got to design a game around a Quest 2, so that's why PCs are always dumbed down. But look, they were able to add in code and put things into the PC version that's on the Quest 2, so that argument goes out the door for other games. So yeah, I, mean, I think the graphics are great. I was able to, I think I was running in 120 hertz. I think I even played at 144 hertz. Maybe it slowed down when there was a lot going on the screen, but they're good. Your friends are represented by I think just a face mask avatar, not the full body, and you can see their hands.
Mm-hmm.
So good graphics. Um, the sound in the game, I think it got the job done. I don't remember it being bad. I don't remember it being anything like we got to talk about the sound for a long time.
Yeah, I can't even remember if there's music playing
I
during the
can't
game.
either. Yeah.
Mm.
So that's sort of like when we talk about sound. It's like sometimes if it's not terribly memorable, that just means it got the job done and it was fine, right? Like
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time sometimes if it's bad, like what we just talked about, floor plan with the annoying, yeah, or if it's like really phenomenally good, which is like we see in a lot of horror games, they really focus on the
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah.
Um, Now the controls in the game, I thought like the controls in the game for like moving yourself, like rotating the board, was pretty good using like
Mm-hmm.
the index controls. You kind of grip and you just kind of rotate your hands, almost like you're doing
Yeah.
a steering wheel, or you pull out. It's that's kind of intuitive to me. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
There was one friend in our group who was on an index and he didn't like that. He switched to like the joystick, moving the joystick. But I like that kind of movement in a game and rotating out. I was always able to position myself to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think it was Upload VR in their review. I'm sorry if I'm getting it wrong, but I think it was Upload VR in their review. They kind of came down on it a little bit because,
I
like,
think Road to VR.
okay, one of those. I apologize for not getting it right, but in the review they were kind of criticizing it for like they're not utilizing VR controls in the way you
Yeah.
move your character.
Mm-hmm.
So like you would aim at your character like you have a laser coming out of I guess your
Yeah.
hand, and
Mm-hmm.
then you click on your character, you pull the trigger, and then you click on the space that you want it to move, versus actually moving your hand, pinching it, and then moving it. Um, I'm sure that's a design choice to make it less frustrating and accessible, right? I can see people trying to grab it. Oh, I can't grab it,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't get to sit in the right tile. I didn't mean to do that tile. Like I get that. I had a friend who just got a Quest 2, and he's trying to play PokerStars VR, and he was having trouble with the controls. For a VR veteran, I get it, and I can plow through it. But so I kind of get why they probably did that. I'm sure that's why they did that. But I think the real answer is that you make it an option for
Yeah.
VR veterans to do the immersive way. I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
is that is the point of VR. I don't want to just be in the game and have a helmet on my head. I want to use my hand like I would be playing a board game, and I want to pick up my piece and I want to move it. I want to pull a card out from my hand and put it on the table and play it. Like things like that. So I think that there's a way to do both, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make it like call it like beginner, right? You start the game, you pick your controls. Do you want beginner? Do you want advanced or VR
Mm-hmm.
veteran? Just give
Yeah.
the option. Maybe they can still do that. They're still working on the game. I know that they have a free module coming out. They said sometime in the summer to add to it. So we'll see.
And when you do the cards, you do actually physically grab them, and then you place them like on your character or on the enemy, right?
I can't remember. I thought you just pointed to them.
I know. I played this yesterday, and that's what
Okay.
I remember. I remember actually pulling the card out of my deck and
Okay.
physically moving it to the piece.
Yeah. So, this is not a make or break thing for me by any, like, this is not, I have problems with this game, but it's not that. Like, I think they should have put that option there. I think it's worth criticizing, but This is not like, stay away from this game because it doesn't do that. It doesn't ruin the fun.
About that laser for me, I had an issue with the doors. So like you would get through a door,
Yeah.
and then my laser wouldn't point at my guy like through the door.
Oh, I didn't. Weird. I didn't have
Yeah.
that issue. Okay.
Like, so let's say your guy is standing right in the doorway, and it's your turn, and you want to pick him up. Well, or he's just on the other side of the doorway that you just opened or something. It won't let you point at him. You have to actually. It's as if the door's still there, is what it is. So you
Weird.
can't point at him. You have to go above the door,
Okay.
and grab your guy that way.
I didn't run in that issue, but I must not have been trying to do that. I must have just
Yeah.
naturally worked around it, so it worked.
You might have had a more aerial view because I read that you can change it to where, so like you don't have to like look down at the board. You could change
Yeah.
it so the board is actually like 90 degrees, like you're like bird's eye view or something.
Yeah, I think some people were some people in our Discord were worried about like their neck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I guess looking down, then again, you're playing board games, so you kind of do that anyways. But then again, you don't have a helmet on your head, so
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. But it's nice that again they did think about that and give the option there. Rolling the die in the game doesn't feel very immersive because it sort of disappears, even if you throw it on the table. Like it's kind of weird.
And you grab it with your laser pointer.
Yeah, you grab it with your laser. Why don't I really roll the die and shake it and really like you can kind of throw it. It's just not done. It's not done right. It's just not like.
Yeah.
I don't
You
get
have
it.
hands. You have hands in the game. Like I remember seeing the gloved hands. So why can't I put it in my hand and shake it around?
That's these kind of weird things that are going on with this game. I think somebody speculated that it's going to come out like a flat screen 2D version. Well, fine, but why are you making this is a VR game first and foremost. Why are you not doing these things? And Resolution did a great job of Cookout, I thought, and Blast On. Those games are very immersive. So it's just a little bizarre in terms of like the controls immersion factor with that. Anything else before we get to last ability?
So I played it single player first, and I didn't make it very far. It had me pick a character, and then I guess it would automatically pick the other two.
Okay.
And then I wanted to just like control my player, and then have the computer control the other two, but they made me control all of them, which to me was kind of weird. I didn't want to have to do all three. But I don't know. I think we made it through one area, and then I got killed, and then pretty fast in the next one. Then I was like, well, let me see what online's like. So I just got in with some random people, and it put me in like while they were already playing. So that must be how it works.
Oh,
you don't
maybe
have
somebody
to.
dropped or something. Yeah, when we were playing a game, we had a friend join us like halfway through, which was that was kind of nice.
Yeah,
that they were able to do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, we were going, taking our turns. Nobody was talking. So then at some point I asked a question, and then the person answered my question. So to make sure that, you can actually hear everyone. But the one thing that I didn't like was there was one person like the whole time that we were playing.
This is a physically demanding game, Justin. So,
Yeah, it is. So I guess I got to give him a break.
Yeah.
I have that problem a lot when I play with random people.
And it's usually games where like a mini golf. I've heard people do that, and it's usually games where they have no business.
Yeah,
like being out of breath.
And I don't want to I don't want to say anything to him because like he could just be, have a health issue or something.
Yeah. With our luck, there's some health issues, and we're being jerks, which is wouldn't be the first time in my life.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought up how you played it because I think there's a really good point with this. If you're gonna play the single player, maybe you'll like it, but this is really a game. Like there's games you can play single player board games by yourself, but really the fun in getting everything out of board games is playing with a group of people you like and ideally know, and then going through this adventure together and working together and talking about things, right? Like that's really going to determine your fun factor. So if you got some friends who like board games and get together, then yeah, I think you're going to have some fun with it. But if you don't have that and you're sort of subject to pairing up with randoms and stuff or just playing by yourself, that's probably really going to eat into how much you enjoy this game.
Yeah.
Last ability. So I gotta say this game is pretty. I'm really disappointed in the last ability, and also the price of this factors into it. So this game is the most expensive game from Resolutions that I played. Blast On was $9.99, which is an incredible value. Like it is a no-brainer. Go out and get that game. Cookout, which they just released on, it's been out on Quest and Oculus for a while. Just came out on Steam like a month or two ago. 1999. Again, good value in that game. Nice four-player cooperative game. This game at $29.99, I was like, all right, Resolution. I think I know you guys. I think you're a studio. You know what you're doing. You kind of there's some polish to your games. Yeah, $29.99. Man, there must be a lot here. Must be a lot more than the other games. And then I played the game and beat it in an hour and a half.
Wow.
And that was it. And sure, you could say, well, look, you can play it again, and the dungeon tiles are going to be different. Well, it's the same dungeon. It's the same bad guys. Who cares if the tiles are laid out a little different? Like, yeah, I could be another character, but like I don't understand the price on this game. I don't get it. And somebody might say, well, look, they've got another module coming out in the summertime. Yeah, well, it's not out now.
Yeah, increase the price then.
This is 100%. This game should be $9.99. It should be $9.99. And I almost wanted to have a friend who actually designs board games come on and talk about this, but I didn't. I wasn't that interested. After playing Demeo, I was like, this is not even worth my time to invest into it. As a board game, it's okay. Like if this came out as a board game, it would be nothing special. Like there's just way better board games out there. They could have even licensed a board game and turned it into this. So yeah, I have a huge problem with the price on this game. I think it's way overpriced, and I don't know why. There should have been 3 times the amount of content in there that was in the game. This game should have launched at $29.99 with 3 modules, and then a couple more for free on the way. Just really, really odd. Really odd that they did it that way. I can't think of a good justification for that. I'll probably play it maybe a couple more times, especially maybe with friends who get it and I didn't play with yet, and just to kind of spend time with them and go through it. And I'll probably have a little fun, but it's just way too light on content.
Yeah. These types of games aren't even my thing, so yeah, $30. If it had been $9.99, I would have kept it, but I refunded it after an hour.
Yeah,
$30 is just too much.
I played it the day after it came out, and I ran to Steam. I was so disappointed, and I think I have the top. Like I have 177 people found my review helpful. So
wow!
I think I nailed it. So I'm not like it has 93% of Steam. It's the highest rated game of the 3 that we talked about, and yet I think a lot of people do feel the way I do. I think the thing is this: resolution games, they're smart. Okay, like they must have saw Iron Lights and was like, okay, this concept's good. We can do it better. We've got a studio, and they did with Blast On. They did it great. And then they Cookout is like I forget that game that people always compare it to, that flat game. God, it's gonna drive me nuts. I never played it, but everyone's like, oh, this is like this game.
I played it with my wife.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, people listening know what I mean though. And then they did it in VR, and it's like good. They have like a good eye for what would do good in VR in the market, and they executed on those games pretty damn good. And they do have a good track record on working on things and updating. Like I think Blast On, they've been just doing a fantastic job on that. So I don't know, man. It's just a little disappointing. So I'm gonna give this game as a rating a 6 out of 10. It should have been much better than what it is. I think that Resolution Games nailed it in terms of realizing that there's a market for a board game like this, and I think you're seeing a lot of positive reactions to this game. That pent up, like, yes, here's a board game, and I know that there's Tabletop Simulator, which is not designed for VR, but it has a VR mod to it that I've heard doesn't work that great. So this is like a functional board game, and there's a thirst and desire for it, but it's just not enough. It should be more, and I think once people get past that, it's just kind of a shallow experience.
The game you're trying to remember was Overcooked. I had to Google it. I had to Google it though.
Yeah. Resolution's good at that, man. They figure it out. They know what games to make. But
Yeah. So I don't think I only did an hour, and it's not really my genre. I don't feel like I can give this a rating.
fair enough.
But as I said, I refunded it. I've never really liked games that have dice and cards in them.
Hmm.
So that kind of eliminates a lot of games for me. I like games where it's just straight like strategy and not any luck or chance. So that's
Yeah.
why I can't get into this, because it's the cards and you roll your dice to see if you get a hit. And I like to control my character like straight up. I don't want to tell him to do something and then watch him do it.
Yeah.
Like I like arcade game type of games. So
And there's just so many better board games than this. Is just they created this board game from scratch. There's just, and it's fine, it's functional, but there's so many better board games. They would have been better off finding like a really good board game, like doing like Mansions of Madness is a fantastic board game that has mechanics where you sort of are moving around and taking actions and stuff like that, but it also tells a story along with it. This doesn't have like a story at all. Like, again, it's that story element or something that's developing or happening that it's just very basic. It's just sort of, and you know what, resolution games, they know what they're doing. They're probably going to do well with this game. The market's starving for any content, so they don't have to knock it out of the park. They can make this and they can sell it probably for $29.99, and they're going to do good. So their business model is fine, but I'm disappointed as a board game and VR fan.
I heard a board game guy who even had board games all behind him doing a review where he was just like elated with this game, but it might just be because there's nothing else.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not seeing. I'm just totally lost on me. So.
Yeah.
And this is not like, I'm not a huge, like, in terms of board games, this is not my type of board game, like, so much. Like, I'm not like a dungeon crawler type, guy. There's other games I like. So, all right. Last but not least, we've got Battle Group VR. This is from Space Owl Games. Came out on July 31st, 2020. It's still in early access. I'm sorry, this is the highest rated game. I was looking at the wrong one. This is at Steam at 93%. Demeo is at 91%, and it's for $24.99. Disclaimer: the developer was kind enough to hook us up with copies to review the game. I'm not going to give it a rating because this is also not my genre game. I don't feel confident putting a number on this game, but I will say I recommend it, and I will talk about why and what I like about it and give my opinion of it. So, Justin, did you spend some time with it, right? Did you ever get back into it?
I did not get back into it, but I did 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you probably did the tutorial.
I did the tutorial up to the point where I didn't know what to do, and then I
Okay.
did 2 missions.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you did. Okay. All right. Did you get past both missions?
No, I beat the first mission, and the second mission I died, and I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, let's get into this. So this is a real-time strategy game. Think like if you ever wanted to be Admiral Adama from Battlestar Galactica, where you're standing on the bridge and commanding a fleet. That's you, man. You're building up your fleet. You're selecting your captains. You're purchasing ships, selecting your ships. You're outfitting the guns on the ship, a type of guns. You're trying to unlock more guns and get money, and then you're off to the races. You start a mission. There's a campaign with 10 missions on it. So you start a mission, and then when the game starts, you're on the deck of your ship looking out into space, which is really cool. I mean, I was impressed off the bat at just how polished this game seems in terms of like the graphics. This goes for like realistic graphics. It was cool. It was one of those moments where you're in the game, where you're like, all right, this is VR, man. This is the next level. I'm on a ship, and I'm the commander of the ship. And in front of you, you have sort of this kind of war zone holographic map. And you can see your ships, you can see the enemy ships, objectives, and things like that. And it's sort of like in Demeo, how you rotate the thing. You kind of you squeeze the grips on the index, and you kind of push in, and that shrinks the map, or you pull out and it enlarges it, and you kind of rotate it around. And then you point at, it's like, again, this is fine laser pointing in my mind. It works with the theme. You kind of laser point at your ship, and then you tell it to move around on the map, and you can click on other ships to have it attack. Like in most real-time strategy games, you're not doing base building during combat. You're more or less you're figuring out your ship configuration, then you're going into combat. And combat is more about positioning your ships and telling your fleets to move around, maybe having it turn, rotating left or right, so you get your guns in the right position. It's kind of tactical at that point, versus again like I know Final Assault was a VR RTS, or like Command and Conquer, right? Like, so I did grow up playing games. Like, I remember buying Warcraft 2 when it came out in like '94, right? Like, I remember these experiences. I remember playing Command and Conquer games in the '90s. So I have that, like, yeah, you click down, you build a base, and you build units until you move it. You're not doing that when you're on the starship. You're more or less tactically positioning it. And that's it. There's a campaign with 10 missions. Then you've got like a skirmish mode where you can just do kind of random missions. Then you've got multiplayer. I think you could do co-op with that. And then you have Conquest, which is, I guess you would call it I think they call it like an offline multiplayer. It's like this persistent world where like this war is going on, and there's like this huge map, and there's one of 3 factions, and you pick what faction, and then you're on that faction, and then you kind of go in and you kind of do like resupply missions, move around, try to build bases, take over bases, but it happens offline. It's sort of like like a chess game where you make a move, then your opponent makes a move, but like there's there could be hundreds if not thousands of people playing this offline mode. So that's kind of cool. In other words, there's kind of a lot to this. Especially being in early access, and I can't tell, but there might be just one guy making this. I don't know. I don't know how one guy can make this, but it's not a huge team at that. What did I miss anything in the overview? I'm curious what your
No, I was impressed by like you were talking about, like what's going on outside the ship, and you have that holographic view, and then like you move your ship or you fire at enemies on the holographic view, but then outside through the windows of the ship, you're seeing that stuff actually going on.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're controlling a movie you're watching through those windows.
Yeah.
Sort of.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, anybody who, like thinks like Battlestar Galactica or, Star Trek, and they want to be like the commander of a ship, this is probably like a wet dream for them. There isn't anything better in VR right now, and it's pretty damn. I'm pretty damn impressed with it. I think when I say I'm not going to give a rating, I don't think I have the chops to rate this game as an RTS, right? Like, it'd be like, when you're talking about Demeo, you're not really a board game player, so it's a little harder for you. I could talk about the nuts and bolts of it, how it felt, how it looks, how it sounds, but is it a good RTS? I don't know. I've played, I think, 3 or 4 missions now. It's like got maybe 3 or 4 hours on it. I did some Conquest. And I'm impressed, and I want to play it more, even though this is not my genre, which is pretty impressive. I'm looking at screenshots now, and again, the graphics are really good on this game. I'm sort of jumping around, Justin, and just kind of freestyling this in terms of what I'm focusing on. So there's the view when you're in the game. There's a view where you're sitting on the deck. You can also be still standing on the deck, but actually physically take control of the ship. So you can manually steer it and manually fire the guns rather than just kind of telling it where to go, which is cool that it allows that. Yeah. That's part of the tutorial.
It was at the end. Well, I got stuck on the tutorial at some part. I didn't know how to do the thing that it wanted me to do. I couldn't figure it out. And the tutorial has Vive controllers, so I don't know if that was part of it. I don't know.
I think it's good that it has a tutorial. It got me up and running, but I think that there's a level of depth to this game that it needs something more to it. It needs, like, I feel like this is a little hardcore, like for hardcore people who will dive in and figure it out and like look up things offline. Like, there probably could be, the tutorial's not bad, but I think there needs to be a little bit more. And it actually was probably 15 minutes or something, so it's not bad, but there's just stuff in there that I'm sort of scratching my head and kind of figuring out trial and error. But yeah, you can actually take control, which was really cool. I mean, I thought that's awesome that they have you do that. I didn't utilize that, though, much in the game. I just kind of stuck to pointing and clicking. And there's also a spectator view, so you can see it kind of cinematically and see it kind of happening all around you, like, you're out in space looking at it. So just a lot of good design decisions in this game. I think that my biggest issue, if I had to pick one, is I sort of didn't always know what was going on. I feel like there's a lot more to this game, but it seemed inaccessible to me without having to really roll up my sleeves and invest a lot of time in trying to dive in and look up like in forums and trying to find videos and stuff like that. And because this is not necessarily my genre of game, I wasn't motivated to do that. But I am motivated to go in and keep on playing more and trying to go through the campaign. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay. So the thing, I think it was setting waypoints in the tutorial, and for whatever reason I couldn't figure out how to do that. And then I just exited the tutorial and started doing
Yeah.
like the whatever the first and second mission was.
I got stuck on that too. I got through it.
What did you do?
I think what you're supposed to do is you click on it, you click on your ship, and then you like click where to go, and I think you like on the index you click the stick down. I think that was it. Yeah. But the way it was explained, I got stuck there too, and I don't even know how the hell I figured it out, but I did. Yeah, so that part is he needs to fix that part because it's good to hear that I was not the only one. Yeah, see, that's like me. You know how I tell you I don't like to solve puzzles, or at least that's like a puzzle I had to solve.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, I never got so sophisticated in the game where I'm actually using waypoints, so it didn't matter too much. But yeah, you missed the part where you can probably control and do other things.
Okay. So yeah, I think I would have liked to have been able to control it directly, because just looking at this hologram and telling my ship like where to go or where to shoot, like that's not fun for me. That part of it.
Yeah.
Like I want to be like directly involved.
Yeah. You can, and you have that option.
I also was never sure, like, how many times do I need to tell my ship to attack this other ship? Do I have to like keep doing it over and over?
No, by default it's set up to automatically attack it once you tell it to, or if it gets close enough, it will just start attacking it.
All right.
And the ships have like like I don't know, like super weapons or whatever that they have cooldowns, and you have X amount of points to spend on it. So. Knowing when to use it or not to use it. I started like thinking that this was pretty basic at first, where just like, just click and tell where to go, and that's all I do. And then I played a little bit more, and it seems that it's tactically about positioning the ship around or positioning your fleet around and making sure that you're attacking maybe the ship from the right angle, or if you're taking damage on a certain side, like rotating around or telling the ship to like pan left or right, that kind of stuff. Oh, another thing that I should mention is that I guess this game has voice commands that you can use. I tried to use it the other day and it wasn't working. Maybe I'll spend more time with that, but I saw a cool video on YouTube with the developer doing it. So again, if you ever want to stand on a starship bridge and issue commands, again, this game is going to scratch the itch for I think a lot of people, and he's continuing to work on it. I'm like bullish on this game. I think maybe I'll return to it at some point and give an update on it. But I'm very impressed. This is like this is well done. I think again we're so early in VR. Like if this had an amazing story that went along with it, this would put it over the top. I think it's missing that. Even like Command and Conquer back in the day, you get those full motion videos that kind of got you into the story. We're just sort of missing that from like a bigger studio, but for what's there, the nuts and bolts, it's really good, and the voice acting was pretty good in it. There's actually like the people giving you like what's going on in the mission and stuff like that, and the communication. I thought that was good.
Yeah, I remember being surprised by how good that was.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw this. I remember seeing this game on Steam. I was like, that looks cool, even though it's not my genre. I'm glad I got to play it. So if you're into RTS games, real-time strategy games, or if you like the idea of being on a starship, I highly recommend checking it out.
Get this. Before VR, I never played an RTS game in my life.
Wow.
And I've never seen Battlestar Galactica, and I've barely ever seen Star Trek.
Wow.
So way more than you, I am not someone to tell you anything about this game. Like, I don't know anything about this stuff.
Fair enough. I can't believe you never played a real-time strategy. How'd you never play like Command and Conquer? That's crazy.
Never played it. No, never. And
did you have a computer growing up?
I got one when I was like 14 or 15.
Okay.
And then I played. I got right into Doom.
Yeah.
I didn't play any of the other, real time.
It's funny.
I played puzzle games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played a
We're gonna-
bigger variety of games when I was like during the 90s than I do. Like now I'm like all FPS. I feel like
Okay.
that's where I'm at. So yeah, I don't know what it is, but I think RTS games. I think VR is good for RTS games. I think it's a
Yeah.
really cool experience. This game handles it very well.
Mhm.
Final Assault's another game we should maybe play sometime. That came out a few years ago. I played a little bit
that.
of it.
I played that once and never
Yeah.
again. And then I played
Yeah.
Brass Tactics. Brass Tactics is a really good RTS, and I played it
Yeah.
once and never again.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think real time strategy games work well in VR.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I think it's a cool genre for VR. So
Yeah, they're good. I don't know what it is. It's just maybe it's because I didn't play them as a kid. I don't
yeah.
know.
All right, so wrapping this up, we've got some summer releases that you have listed down here.
Oh
why don't
yeah.
you go over that.
So yeah, like a lot of times toward the end you'll ask anything coming up, and I put this here. So in the summer, these are all like online. At least it says the summer. Who knows? These could get delayed. But after the fall is coming out. That's a big game. That's gonna I think have 4-player co-op.
Yes.
So then Pistol Whip Smoke and Thunder. That's like a DLC, an update, just like the
Nice.
2089. So it's
Will it be
gonna be
free?
yeah, free.
Wow.
As far as I know.
Okay.
Actually, I'm not positive.
We'll see. Don't take our word for it.
That was an assumption based on 2089 being free. But yeah, it's gonna be Wild West themed. Then Sniper Elite VR. This might have been delayed already. So it said summer. So that's gonna come to PC and it was PSVR before. I don't know if it still is. Lone Echo 2 is summer. I Expect You to Die 2 is summer. You can't wait to play I Expect You to Die 2.
I'm good on
Then
that.
Eye of the Temple is a cool room scale Indiana Jones type of game. That comes out and it's supposed to be the summer.
I hope after the fall's good.
I do too.
I really am hungering for like a good co-op game, whether it's dungeon crawler or again, my dream would be like a Left 4 Dead 2 style kind of game in VR.
Yeah.
So, come on, Valve.
Oh, Valve, to make an After the Fall like
wish.
game, yeah.
I wish.
Yeah.
But all right, well, that will do it for this episode. Thank you, everybody. You can check us out on social media. We're on Twitter. If you want to get in touch with us, have any questions, you can reach out to us at vrgamingpodcast@gmail.com. And if you're so kind, leave us a nice little review on iTunes so that other people can help. You can help other people find this podcast if you found it helpful. Other than that, we'll see you next month. Take care.